What's going on, guys? Today I saw a video from Gene Deal from the Gene Deal show, and he talks about Alpo, and he talk about some stuff about Alpo and his killings, his death or whatever, and he explains some things. But around the 17-minute mark, I'm from DC. Around the 17-minute mark, he speaks on why Alpo told on some DC dudes, right? And that the story that he told was misinformation. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to explain why. He talks about a guy named Ben Lawson Jr. that went up in a courthouse and shot up the place, right? Which is true. This is what he did. And he said the dude was 17. Dude was not 17. He was a grown-ass man. He was 25, okay, at the time that he did that. It was back in 2000. No, I'm sorry. Back in this happened back in November 22, 1994. The shooting happened. These dates are important. Okay. Aplo got picked up in 1991. Okay. The 94 shooting hadn't even happened when Aplo got locked up, when he started telling on people. You see what I'm saying? When he made the deal. This didn't have nothing to do with the Aplo thing. Okay. This is misinformation. Ben Lawson Jr. was a frail dude. I know dudes that know this guy. He was a frail guy. So when he got locked up and he went down Lorton for about 3.5 years sentence, he didn't have a good time down there. This is in the Washington Post. You could look up the article, Ben Lawson Jr., Washington Post, and you look. He was a good student. He was in church and everything, but the streets got to him. Okay. Anybody could pick up a gun and shoot somebody. Anybody could pick up a gun and rob somebody. But a lot of people is not built like that. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to that hand-to-hand combat. When you go to Lorton, especially Lorton is closed down now. It's been closed down since 2001. All the DC dudes used to go down, was sentenced to Lorton. When you get locked up, you go down Lorton. They had to shut that shit down because it was so notorious and so horrific down that jump. They was just wild. DC dudes was wild, so they sent them out in the feds. Fed took over, and they sent them out in the feds. That's how come DC dudes is spread out. You know what I'm saying? We had DC jail, which is like a transfer jail now, and they send everybody out to the feds. That's how come DC dudes is spread out throughout the United States. Lorton was so vicious, it was known for raping, extortion, and killings. You see what I'm saying? And if you ain't good with your hands and you ain't good with have a good crew with you or whatever, you ain't about that, you will get exposed. Ben Lawson didn't have a good time. You can read about that in the Washington Post. So this is what Gene Deal is talking about. He's talking about his story. But the truth behind Alpo and who he snitched on was Wayne Perry. Okay? Look up the Don Diva interview that they did with Wayne Perry, and he talks about this stuff. He talks about this. His videos out there, his magazines out there, his interviews with Wayne Perry, and he talks about how they gave him 5 life sentences, right? They brought back the death penalty for Wayne Perry. Only time I think it was 1971 when the last time they executed somebody in DC, and they wanted to execute Wayne Perry. But he took a plea deal. He did not snitch. He took a plea deal because he did not want anybody else to get what he was getting. Okay, that's how he was loyalty to a fault. And Aplo knew this about him. Aplo was getting extorted and everything down here. I'm not taking nothing away from him, but if he didn't have Wayne Perry on his team, it would have been worse for him. Okay? He was on the run. He got attempted. They tried to kill Aplo before. He had an attempt on his life before. So he needed someone to protect him. Okay? And Sean Branch did an interview with Flip the Script, with Queen Flips. And he talks about when Aplo saw him, he burnt rubber. Now, they looked at him like he was crazy. But you got to think, Sean Branch was notorious as well. So if Wayne Perry was running, if Aplo was running with Wayne Perry, and they saw Aplo say, okay, who was that? Wayne Perry gonna tell him, that's so-and-so, yeah, he a killer. He like that. And if you know that my man not going to protect me, Wayne Perry not going to protect me from this other killer, I'm out of here. You see what I'm saying? Because killers respect killers. And if Sean Brest was putting in work back then, Wayne Perry not going to step in his way, not going to get in his way if Sean wanted to do something to Alpo. He became a target, so let me get up out of here because I'm not going to be protected if dude come over here and try to do something to me. You see what I'm saying? So that's how it is. DC people, you have to be vouched by other people, to come down here, set up shop or anything. And a lot of New York dudes was coming down DC in the mid-'80s, setting up shop. But they was also got ran back home or got sent home in a body bag. So you knew you had to know somebody that was known, not no little dude, someone that was up there that was known, that was willing to put in that work. And of course, if you do research on Wayne Perry, you know what type of work he did. So of course, and Aplo talks about this in his interview when he's from jail. Talk about how he got in contact with Wayne Perry through Lil Pop. I knew him. You see what I'm saying? I didn't go to school with him. I was in high school. He was in junior high school. I went to Anacostia. He went to Kramer. And he been notorious. You know what I'm saying? Even before he started killing. You know what I mean? So he was, but he was light-skinned dude, curly hair, whatever. A lot of street dudes vouch for him. So it's like this. If everybody vouch for you and you like, smooth type of dude, you got girls or whatever, big dudes going, you have to deal with them. You deal with this little dude, you have to deal with him. You have to deal with the big guys around there. So he was protected by a lot of guys as well. You know what I'm saying? But moving on with the story, like I say, it was a lot of misinformation. Alpo snitched on Wayne Perry because Wayne Perry was notorious and they couldn't get him. And only way to get him is by somebody snitching on him, by somebody telling. So Aplo, when he got locked up in 91, read the Washington Post paper about him being arrested out in Virginia. He was in the courthouse crying. Aplo was crying. Now, I'm not taking away from his work and not taking away from what he did. It's like New York dudes want to, don't want his legacy to be tainted, because if his legacy tainted, then Harlem is tainted. You see what I'm saying? So they want to keep his name and, he was this, he was that. I'm not taking nothing away from him, but at the same time, it was another side to him that they don't want to talk about. You know what I'm saying? They want to put away the snitching. This street rules. You don't snitch. If you're a rat, you's a rat. You see what I'm saying? And that's what he was. But y'all don't want to be known. Y'all don't want him to be known as what he was. But anyway, so they want to glorify. They want to keep his legacy going by not putting that with him. But that come with that. Just like the murders come with him, just like the killing and the keys and the hustling come with him, the snitching got to go with him too. That's his jacket. You see what I'm saying? Wayne Perry, you don't hear nothing about him crying in court about what he did. He took his beef. You know what I'm saying? He took whatever came with what he did on the street. He says this. This is documented. Look at the Don Diva interview with Wayne Perry. They asked him questions and stuff, and he could tell you about himself. He could tell you himself about what he's about and what he did. It was death before dishonor with him. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of DC dudes, that's how they thought, and that's how they think. It's death before dishonor. You know what I'm saying? And another thing, down here we had crews. We don't have no gangs. We don't have no blood gangs, no Crip gangs or whatever. We had crews. Everybody ran with their crew from their neighborhood. You see what I'm saying? We meet up in the go-go. Different DC crews might get into it with each other at the go-go or whatever. It's because we want to figure who the baddest, who the thorough. You know what I'm saying? Who got them hands? But in the Fed system, everybody stood together because they're from DC. You see what I'm saying? And that's why they say if DC was more organized, they would be more dangerous. But being as though every man for himself, every crew for himself, it's like it's hard for them be more organized, because they're not going to let one man lead them. They don't believe in that. I'm my own man. I'm standing on my own feet. I'm doing my own thing. You do you and I do me. But we could come together on some rah-rah stuff together on some other dudes, ride on some other dudes, but you're not going to be in charge of me. I got my own little crew I'm dealing with. You know what I'm saying? That's how DC is. We don't have gangs in DC. But back to Gene Deal story about who Alpo told on and everything. Now they might have questioned, I don't know, they might have questioned Aplo about Ben Lawson Jr. because he ran with the from First and Kennedy Street dudes. And they probably questioned him about that. Do you know anything about that? Or whatever. But the main thing to him getting out, to his plea deal, was him snitching on Wayne Perry. That was the big puzzle to him getting out. Big piece to his puzzle of him getting out of prison. You know, instead of him doing 50 years old, dying in prison, getting out when he got out. You see what I'm saying? And me personally, as far as for Aplo, I looked at the picture and I saw how high his car was up. Now, his car was up so high that if you're doing a drive-by shooting in a car, they're gonna rattle the door. You see what I'm saying? Not the glass. I believe that, me personally, this alleged, this is my opinion about what happened. It was a drug deal gone bad. For somebody to get that close up on him, where it's though they shot him that many times, everybody talking about it had been a marksman and all that other stuff. And that all might be true, but that truck is so high, there's no way, and his window was up. There's no way you're going to let off all them shots on him and he's in that car. Or in that truck. I ain't gonna say car. He was in a truck that had a lift on it. That was lifted up. So it's no way you could get to him like that. Unless you sitting beside him and you shooting at him. And if he had a vest on, according to what Gene Deal said, he had a vest on. Right? And he got shot up. But if you had armor-piercing bullets, stuff that full metal jackets, they're going through a vest, and they know, okay, he got a vest on, so we got to get something more powerful to go through whatever he got on. That's how he got caught up. You know what I'm saying? That's just my belief or whatever. And another thing Gene Deal said, he said something about his brother-in-law or whoever the guy was that talked to Aplo the night he got killed. It was Halloween. It was 11/20. It was Halloween. And he said, oh, I got my vest on. Right? He said, what you doing out here in these streets? Don't you know it's Halloween? And Aplo, oh, I got my vest on. Now, if it's 11/20, it's October 30th. It's not Halloween yet. You see what I'm saying? All this misinformation. It's not Halloween yet. So it don't make sense to say it's Halloween like it's 11/20 Halloween night. No, he got killed in the morning of Halloween, which was like 3:30 in the morning. It wasn't even Halloween yet when his so-called brother-in-law talked to him at 11:20. You see what I'm saying? So it's a lot of discrepancies in this story that, you know, that you could do your own research. You know, the Washington Post, the affidavits of the court cases or whatever, the Washington Post, look up Don Diva. I'm going to put a link in my description. Don Diva magazine, when they interviewed Wayne Perry, and he talked about his case, and he talked about Aplo and how he felt about Aplo. Okay, the Washington Post talks about Aplo and when he was crying in court about when he got caught. When he was in Virginia court, he's crying, bawling out although he didn't say anything, but he's crying. His wife, he was on the run. So when they caught him, his wife was with him. Maybe because she's crying, he's crying, and he know he gonna be gone away. And you turn around and told somebody, man, make sure you look out for her. You know what I'm saying? And he's crying. You don't hear nothing about no Wayne Perry crying. He took his thing. He took his thing. He is death before dishonor with this man. You see what I'm saying? And the dudes that he ran with, they're the same way. You know, you got a lot of outside sources trying to tell these DC stories, and y'all putting a bad bone on DC dudes. And when Sean Brents was talking about his story, y'all thought it was think it's a joke or whatever. Ain't nothing funny about what he was saying, because all the shit what he's talking about is real. Killers respect killers. And Wayne Perry seen another killer, oh, that's so-and-so. They're going to hear about each other. He ain't scared of nobody. You know what I'm saying? If a killer know that this dude's a killer, nah, man, I ain't going to pull my thing out on him, because if I don't get him, he definitely going to get me. So they're going to respect each other, and they're going to move accordingly. They're going to move out. They're going to keep out of each other's way. Or they're going to try to get you on they're going to try to catch you slipping. But it's not going to be no head up. Killer's not going to go head up on somebody. You know what I'm saying? I heard of killers, all he did, this dude, a dude named Omar, all he did, he looked for other killers. I ain't going to kill no, it's easy to kill somebody that's not a killer. I'm looking for the killers. And that's how he was. He was looking for other killers. You see what I'm saying? That's how the DC dudes' mentality was. They're not going to go after nobody weak unless it's going to be for fun. That's when the extortion come along. Yeah, I made him do this and do that. So they can have a funny story while they robbing somebody. You see what I'm saying? I mean, it's stories out there that I heard that what dudes did to other dudes where they strip them butt naked, make them walk because it's funny to them or whatever, because they was born. It was bored. It's entertainment to them. You see what I'm saying? So do your own research. I'm going to put some links down in the description so y'all can actually read this stuff yourself. It's not nothing that I'm making up. It's not nothing that I'm trying to put a bad bone on Aplo, but y'all trying to continue his legacy. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that snitching go with his legacy. And y'all don't want that to be tainted. And that's what it is. You're making a mistake, and you getting misinformation when you're talking about Ben Lawson Jr.'s story, and it don't have nothing to do with what happened. He snitched on Wayne Perry to save himself, because he knew a lot of information about Wayne Perry that the feds or the FBI or the police didn't know anything about. So in order to save myself, I gotta give these people up. Now, like I said, he didn't snitch on nobody from Harlem or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But he definitely had enough information from Wayne Perry to say that I need to save myself. And if you know Wayne Perry's background, if you ran with Wayne Perry and you knew his background, you know a lot of stuff that he did that the public didn't even know about, that the FBI didn't even know about, that all the DC police didn't even know about. And if I give y'all this juicy information or whatever, when Wayne Perry got locked up, the murder rate went down in DC. DC was the murder capital in the mid-'80s for years. For years. You see what I'm saying? Almost everybody down here was a gunslinger. And everybody knew about everybody was doing that. You see what I'm saying? So do your own research, man, and check out the links, read up on this stuff, and be careful of people giving you misinformation. I'm not saying Gene Deal don't know what he's talking about, but this incident, when it comes to why Alpo snitch, nah, dude, that's misinformation. You don't know what you're talking about. You're trying to put another story with Aplo and why he did what he did. And it wasn't. It had a lot to do with Wayne Perry, why he's out in the witness protection program, when he was in the witness protection program and everything. Wayne Perry would tell you himself through the Don Diva interview. And I'm going to put that link in the description too. You could download the damn magazine and you can read exactly what he's saying word for word. It's videos out here that he spoke from prison, from jail, wherever he was at. And he talks about this stuff. You know what I'm saying? He ain't going to talk about nothing that could get somebody else late. He's not going to talk about that. Anything that he said he's going to talk about something that either they're already dead or they gone. They're gone away from here. It's nothing to trace back to somebody getting locked up behind what he's saying. You see what I'm saying? And that's all I got to say. Do your own research.